Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video, and in today's video I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to play smarter here in Fortnite. I'm going to be talking about everything that you guys need to know in order to outplay every single player that you go against, and as well just to play smarter than everyone else. And before we get into the video, I have a weekly V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away V-Bucks every single Friday, and if you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you guys need to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and as well subscribe to my second channel. I post a ton of really good content on there, so make sure you guys do subscribe. Turn on my post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And if you guys would like to support me as a creator in the item shop, all you have to do is go over to the item shop, go into the bottom right hand corner, support a creator, and type in my code. My code is Young Humor. Type it in and you guys will have me supported as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so in this video, I want to be talking about how to play smarter in Fortnite, and there's a few things that you want to consider when playing smart. In playing smart, it could be anything from outplaying other players, whether it be, really using your surroundings, using the weapons you have. And the one thing that I really do like about Fortnite is there's a lot of different options, and there's a lot of different things you can use. You have boogie bombs, stink bombs, shadow bombs. You can decide to fight in the situation, to run away, or maybe go off a different play because there's buildings. So there's definitely a lot of aspects in Fortnite, so that's why it can be kind of hard to have like one or two general tips to talk about playing smarter. But there is a definite few things that you want to keep in mind every single time that you're going into gunfights. There's a few things that you want to consider every single time you're fighting another player. And a lot of those can be general, but there also can be some situational, because every single time you go into a gunfight in Fortnite, it's going to be different. So I can't give a few general tips to kind of talk about every single gunfight you're going into, but there is a few main tips and a few main points I do want to cover in this video when it comes to actually outplaying other players. And I think the number one goal in every single gunfight is to win the gunfight against the other players with using the least amount of materials and taking the least amount of damage. Those are going to be two of the main points, of course, in the shortest amount of time. So least amount of materials, least amount of HP, and the least amount of time. Those are going to be really the three things that you want to focus on every single time you're going into a gunfight. You want to see how you can kill the other player without taking as much damage, and there's a few different ways you can approach this. One of the main things that I do a lot of the times is, especially in public matches, an arena can be a little bit different because people, pretty much everyone's going to be on keyboard and mouse, and they're going to have crazy, internet connection. Their register time is going to be really fast. Turbo build is going to be insanely good. So it can be a little bit more difficult, but say if you're playing on console or maybe playing PC controller, if you're just playing a public match lobby, most of the players aren't going to be super sweaty players. So one thing you can do is every single time that you make a player low, and pretty much every time that you get a player that's going to be weak, they're going to be boxing in. And if you know they're one shot, one thing you can do is, instead of just standing right next to their build spraying at it, which a lot of times you can do, and one thing that I've noticed a ton if I do that, if I'm right up next to their build just constantly spraying, is that right before they die, and it happens every single time, I get a pretty good damage shot on them, so they're pretty low, and then they hit me for a good 100 damage shot, 120 damage shot, and right before I kill them, I end up losing 120 HP or so, 150 HP, and it's just super annoying. It happens time and time again. I'd be right outside someone's box, I make them weak, I'm trying to get as many shots as I can on them, and they end up hitting me for like 80 damage or 100 damage on their last shot right before they die. And one of the best ways to counter this instead is taking less HP, and one good way to do this is right you're in the same situation. One really good thing you can do is take the exact same thing you're spraying at them with your SMG, but maybe take a few steps back. And the reason that you do that is because a lot of players in this close range situations, when they're in boxes, they're going to be using shotguns. So if they have their shotgun out and you have your SMG, if you back up a little bit, even if they do get that damage tag on you, they're not going to be hitting you for as much damage, which I think that's really effective. But at the same time, they do have combat shotguns in the game, which do have a lot of range, but I think it's going to give you your best option when it takes the least amount of damage. So if the other player has a tactical shotgun and you are a few steps back when you're spraying with the SMG, you're not going to take as many damage. So instead of taking like an 80 or 90 damage shot, you're only going to be taking like a 40 or 50. Still, most of the time you're going to be taking damage, but it's not going to be as much, which is going to be very helpful in the long run, depending on how much HP and how much shield you have in that game. And also, another really good way to take a little bit less damage is, say you're going into a gunfight, maybe a 2v1, or maybe even if you're fighting one player and you're in a duos or squad games, but I feel like most of you guys do play duos or squads, you can always wait for your teammates and make sure that you and your teammate are going to be on the same page going into that gunfight, that you're going to shoot this player from one angle and you're going to shoot them from the other angle, and basically make it a lot harder for that player to get any shots at all, let alone get shots on you. So that could really save you a lot of HP, because if you're getting focused by one or two players and it's just on you, that's mainly the time where you lose the most amount of HP. So if you have a teammate that you can wait on, maybe you're a little bit ahead of them, maybe you wait for your teammate to come up before you challenge the gunfight, that can really help you out and allow you to take a little bit less damage and be able to win the gunfight a lot more consistently, and as well take a lot less damage. And so going back to the second point that I mentioned early at the beginning of my video, and that point is going to be using less materials in your gunfight, or at least winning the gunfight without using as many materials. That's going to be a really essential part of playing very smart, and there's a few different ways you can go about this, and one of my favorite ways to do it, and honestly something that I do almost every single gunfight, is, and if I'm going into a gunfight against another player, unless it's around a building, which I know they're going to run into, if I'm in the middle of the open, which 99% of the time you're going to be in this game, unless it's in the early game, of course in the beginning there's going to be a lot of building and such like that, but if I'm in the open in a gunfight, pretty much every single time I'm going to at least go, especially if I'm building towards them, I'm going to go for high ground at the start of the fight every single time, even before I really try to get any shots off, because of course I'm still going to be looking at shots in between, but my main goal and objective is to get high ground off the start, because if you have high ground, pretty much the only thing that can happen is they can try to build up to you, but if you're on high ground, that gives you all the advantage and all the power in the world to do whatever you want. You can shoot them out, you can even get a lot of shots on them from above with your assault rifle, and pretty much prevent them from building up. But instead, if you are on low ground going into the fight and the other player has the high ground, what's going to happen is if you try to build up or make a play at all, they're not going to do anything but just keep building up and up and up, and it's just going to be super annoying to deal with, super annoying to fight, and it's going to take you at least 35 to 40 seconds to even get like one shot off because they keep building up and they're not going for any shots at all. So the best way to prevent this and the best way to save your materials is just to go for the high ground initially in the fight. That's probably one of the best tips I can give you guys when it comes to saving a lot of mats in your game and just really giving you an advantage in the fight off the start. Always going for high ground right at the start, even before you really try to get any shots. I think that's really going to help you guys out when it comes to the problem of not having enough materials. I think just that one simple solution can really help you guys and allow you to play a lot smarter in this game. And so going back to the third tip that I mentioned in this video, and so that is going to be winning the gunfight in the least amount of time, and this is going to be one of the most important and one of the most crucial tips I can give you guys, and one of the most important things to talk about really, because winning the gunfight as quick as possible is really the solution to all problems. It's going to solve you from losing a ton of mats, solve you from losing a ton of HP, which obviously it can't happen if you're playing overly aggressive and not really smart. Yeah, maybe you can win the gunfight right away, but you do lose a lot of HP, so you do want to end the gunfight very quickly, but you also want to be very mindful of your HP, because you don't want to go into every gunfight and ending it fast and losing all of your HP in the process every single time, because what's going to happen is you're going to go into a gunfight, end it very quickly, and there's going to be another team that's running up, and it's not going to allow you enough time to get any sort of heals off, which is going to make it very difficult to win the fight afterwards. So you do have to play smart in all aspects if you want to be able to be very successful here in this game. So one of the best ways that I found to basically allow yourself to kill people very quickly, very consistently, is going to play against people, but play in a very aggressive manner. Not really that you're always playing aggressive, but you put a lot of pressure on them, whether that means if you get them weak, maybe you put a lot of gunfire on them, put a lot of shots with your assault rifle while you're rushing over, and that's another really good way and another really good thing that I do all the time, because maybe you see a guy from like 100 or 150 meters away, and you end up getting like 3 or 4 tags with your assault rifle. Maybe they have no HP, or no shield, and they have very low HP, so you do have them pretty weak, and you know they're going to be popping heals, so as you're running over, you can also shoot your assault rifle at the exact same time. And what that's going to allow you to do is, as you're running over, you're going to basically prevent them from trying to get any sort of heals off, to be lucky to get any sort of minis, and as well you're going to be even closer to the other player, because once you get very close to them, it's almost going to be nearly impossible for them to get any sort of heals off, because you're going to have so much pressure on them, maybe spraying out their walls. So if they are weak, or if they took any gunfire initially, they're not going to have any time to replenish it, so you know how much HP you're going into in that fight. And that's also another really good thing to keep in mind when you're going to gunfights, is always just trying to keep in the back of your mind how much HP the other player has, because you want to try to always make sure, if you know the player has 70 HP, you can play them very different than if they have 200. There's a different things you can go for, different shots. So it's really important that you always try to know how much HP the other player you're going against has. And if you're going up against a team of 2 or 4, or maybe even 3, it's going to give you a huge advantage, because you're going to know how much HP each individual player has. So you know if you really need to go for an aggressive play on one player, they're going to be really weak. So maybe you want to press them very hard, and then maybe the other player try to get a few tags in the process. because the main goal that you want to have is you want to be able to get as many knocks as possible when you're going against a squad, because the less amount of people shooting at you, the better. And the best way to do it is to go after the people who are going to be weak. So always keep in mind the players who have the least amount of HP is really going to give you guys a huge advantage in winning in that fight. And with that being said, that's wrap up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys liked it, and if you guys could, make sure you guys drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on my notifications to be notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.